Hi, Verl Workman here, CEO of Workman Success Systems. And on behalf of the whole Workman Success team, our over 50 coaches, our amazing support and content team, I just want to welcome you to this webinar. We have amazing information, a lot of things I want to share with you today. Our agenda today is real simple. In our small amount of time that we have together, what I'd like to do is I want to help make a big impact in your life and in your business in the following ways. First, I'd like to help instill confidence where there once was uncertainty. Next, I want to help you create clarity where there was once confusion. And last, I want to help unlock within you the true potential that you have to make a dent in the real estate world and, more importantly, a dent in your impact in your homes. Yet if nothing else, and I want you to think about this, I want you to know that I am here to flat out make you money, and a lot of it. I hope you're okay with that. You know, a lot of people are afraid to say that they're interested in making money or being successful financially, and so they literally sabotage their own success by creating excuses for failure. The reality is, as much as we all love being in real estate, as much as we love being in the business and selling houses, the reality is we love our families more. And so if you're going to be away from the things you love more than real estate, how about we just make it worth it? Are you okay? So let's make a lot of money so that when we're away from our families, it's worth it. And when you're with your family, you can focus on your family and not constantly be on the phone. And that's what you're going to get from me, is I'm going to help you make it worth it, both financially and personally. So here's what I'm going to need from you. If we're going to do this today, what I need from you is I need implementation. I can share with you thoughts and ideas, and I can give you things that will make your business work great, but if you don't implement, they have no value. You know, nothing causes me more stress or more pain than when I run into someone who I saw at a seminar 4 or 5 years ago, and they come up to me and they go, "Oh, Verl, hey, man, I saw you at that seminar and you had all these great things." And I say, "What have you done?" And they say, well, I mean, I haven't done anything yet, but it was really motivational. You know, that gives me no joy. They're still clinging on hopelessly to the same problems they had 3 or 4 years ago when they saw me at another event or heard me on a webinar. What I need from you today, it's not to be one of those people who comes to these live events or comes onto the webinars and at the very end goes, "Thanks, bro, that was awesome," and claps. I'm not looking for a standing ovation, and I'm not looking for you to even say thank you. What I'm looking for today is an implementation mindset. A decision that when you hear me say something of value or I show you a tool or a system, that you say, "You know what, I could use that and I'm going to do it." And I want you to think, how do I implement? Not, well, I should do that someday. I want you to tell me how you're going to do it and when you're going to do it. And the goal is that I want you to take action today. I don't want to just share you things that improve your intellect, a better understanding of how to build a 7-figure business. I want implementation. So are you okay with that concept? This is what I need from you, is execution. You know, when I first started speaking, it was after winning a Happenings Book Sales Contest in the DECA Club in high school. And I remember getting a ticket to go see a success rally at the University of Utah. Here I am, a 16-and-a-half-year-old kid, and I have my one ticket to go see Zig Ziglar and Tom Hopkins and Dr. Schuler and all these great motivational speakers at this success rally. And I was so excited. And I remember Zig getting up there and telling everybody that they got to have a goal and they got to break it down to a monthly, weekly, daily basis. And only then would they become a meaningful specific. And Zig asked the entire audience, he says, "Let me know, what do you want to be? A wandering generality or a meaningful specific?" And I felt the hairs on my arms stand up and the back of my neck and the chills that went through my spine. And I thought to myself, that's what I want to do. I want to help create that emotion in other people. I want to be like Zig Ziglar. And I remember going back to my DECA Club advisor and I said, "I want to be a motivational speaker." And you know what my DECA Club teacher said? He said, "I think you need to be a little more realistic. We really don't have a career path for that. I don't really see that in your future." So fast forward to the year 2000. I was invited to speak at a conference called Real Futures 2000, and guess who the headliner was? Zig Ziglar. So I got to travel around the country doing 4 events with the great Zig Ziglar. Now, there was a difference between Zig and Verl. Zig got $50,000 for his 50 minutes, and they paid to put gas in his private plane. They bought my lunch, and I got to hang out with Zig. That was about it. But I didn't care. I was in the same room with the great Zig Ziglar. And I have to tell you, everything that made me feel warm and fuzzy when I was with Zig as a senior in high school was amplified when I met him in person. And he sat next to me and he said, "What are your goals, son? Where do you want to be? What are you hoping to accomplish?" And in 4 different cities, spending an hour with each one of them minimum in the green room, sitting with Zig, I asked him for some advice. I said, "Zig, how do I get to the next level? How do I get to be where you are?" And Zig, in his humble way, said, "Son, don't let your life experiences up to this point allow you to have limiting beliefs." He said, "You have within you the potential to be great." And when I heard that from my mentor, from the man that I looked up to the most, everything I believed was possible went away. I didn't actually believe I could make $100,000, let alone $1 million. I didn't believe that a kid from Salt Lake City with no college education could run a successful business, doing millions of dollars in coaching sales and helping other people really grow. I didn't believe that I would be able to share the stage with the great speakers of the world like the Zig Ziglars. And in that short time with Zig, he helped remove those limiting beliefs by telling me that the only reason I have those beliefs is because of the experiences that I've had up to this point in my life. And he gave me a new experience. So as we go through the training today, I would like to show you something that really excites you. But when I show you things that excite you, I'd like you to remove your limiting beliefs and make a commitment to put it into action the very first opportunity you can. Do we have a deal? Can I count on you to make the commitment? So here's what I need from you. If you right now, I want you to go right to your toolbar and click on the chat bar, and I want you to put yes. I'm ready to make a commitment. Say it out loud. I don't care how many people are in your office. I want you to be like, "I'm in. I'm ready to make a commitment. I'll do what you ask me to do. I'll follow the systems." When I share with something with you that has real value, I just want you to say, "Let's go. Put me in, coach." And that's what'll happen when you start changing your behaviors. You'll start removing limiting beliefs and start getting the results that we're talking about. So let's get down to business. Are you ready? So how we came here today is that after doing literally thousands of presentations and being awarded, one of the most prestigious awards as designations as a speaker by the National Speakers Association, the CSP, I looked at my life and I asked myself, Verl, I said, "Are you making a big enough difference?" And whenever I talk to myself in the bathroom, my wife always answers me. And from the other room, she says, "No, you're not making a big enough difference." And I always love when she gives me her honest feedback because I felt the same way. I knew I could help a lot more people, but there was no leverage in my business. There was only one me. And so I needed to do in my own company, in my own business, what I was teaching others to do in theirs. I had to create real leverage. I needed to build a business where instead of simply creating a great job for myself where I could speak and do some group coaching, I needed to stop working in my business and start working on my business. I needed to become a real CEO. Now, I didn't know what that meant, but I knew it meant I couldn't keep doing things the way I've always done them. I had to do something different. And if I'll tell you, here's a limiting belief that I had, and I don't know if you had the same limiting belief. If I stop working, then my income will stop and I won't be able to survive. And so that kept me from moving forward. And for 15 years, I continued to do group coaching and speak. But at the end of the day, I was tired and there was no leverage. I couldn't grow anymore because there were no more hours in the day. But there were more opportunities that I could physically take advantage of, so something had to give. The result of that is that so many agents would come up after seminars. They'd come up after my group coaching. They'd ask me advice. They'd say, "Hey, how do I build a successful business?" Or "How do I do a successful team?" And I would give them all this great advice, but I wasn't actually doing it myself. I started helping people one-on-one start or build their businesses. I would help them with their teams informally, and they just didn't get the same result. There wasn't any systems, or there was no process. It was just really great advice. Sometimes it was good advice, not even great advice, but they were growing, but they weren't massively having the impact that I wanted. And so this is the conversation that went on in my head. I said to myself, imagine what kind of impact I could have if I put all of this combined knowledge of not just me, but the amazing people that I've coached over the years into a step-by-step system. And then what if I surrounded myself and created this army of givers that actually could help people one-on-one? So instead of it being all about Verl, it became all about the people that I coach. My clients are my coaches and the people that we serve. And so I thought, how do we do that? You know, the result was it became a really cool business called Workman Success Systems. And more people came to me and said how I want help. And so we decided to just go for it. I either had to take my foot off the gas or I had to do something different. And the result is an amazing company. And I'm going to share with you some of the results people got. I remember just a few years ago, I got a phone call on New Year's Day, and it was from Cleve Gaddis. Now, Cleve Gaddis had just made a promise to his wife. He said, in the next year, I'm going to get a coach. See, he was stuck. He had been at the same $500,000 income nut for year after year after year, and he couldn't get through it. And so he went to his broker, and he said to his broker, he says, and it was Pat Finnick. He said, Cleve said to Pat, I need someone that can help me. And Pat says, you know, I heard this guy speak a few years ago, and I've kept his name and number. I think this is the guy. And Cleve had made the promise, but he hadn't actually gone out and hired anybody. And so New Year's Day, his wife said, did you make the commitment? Did you get your coaching? And he says, no, honey, but I will. And he went in the next room, and he happened to call me. I actually answered my phone on New Year's Day. And I talked to Cleve, and Cleve said to me, Verl, I want to hire you as a coach. And I said, all right, Cleve, let's talk about what that might look like. And it was fun to watch Cleve over the next several years go from $500,000 to $750,000 to $1 million, and then $2 million in annual commissions. And I'll tell you now that if you ask Cleve the impact we've made on his life and business, he'll tell you that the biggest thing is that he has the income that he has, but he's only working 4 days a week. He now travels and speaks for Workman Success Systems, and he's one of our master level coaches. So how does he have that kind of life where he can give back and do what he really loves and be on stage and still run a seven-figure business? The answer is by following true, proven systems and processes that allow him to be successful. Another great example is my dear friend Christy Buck. I remember Christy Buck sitting on the front row of a convention I was doing in Texas, and Christy said to me after the convention, she said, hey, I really need you to be my coach. And I was at my capacity. I said, I can't take anybody else on, Christy. I'm not coaching anybody privately. And she said, no, I don't understand. I don't think you understand what I'm saying. She's saying, you're going to be my coach. Now, if you look at Christy, it's hard to say no to Christy when she gets that look in her eye that says, you're going to get to tighten up if you don't answer the question correctly. And so I asked Christy, I said, why? I said, what is it about you that makes you so special? Why should I be your coach? And she shared with me her personal story of struggle. And I asked her, okay, that's really interesting, Christy, but why? And she says, I have to be present in the lives of my boys. You see, as a single mom, Christy was there, and she never missed a ball game, but she was always on her phone. And when she was with clients, her kids were riding around in the back of the car. And so she was with them, but she wasn't really present. And as a single mom, she decided that it wasn't okay anymore. And then she sat at these big national conventions, and people were walking across the stage getting awards, and she was making $250,000, so she was making a good living, but she wasn't making $500,000. She certainly wasn't making $1 million, and she didn't believe that was possible, and she knew she was better than those agents that were getting those awards. And she says, Verl, I have to do better. It's not right. I am better than them, but they're making more than me. I don't get it, and she couldn't get past it. So I said to Christy, okay, I'll help you. Now, I'll tell you more about Christy's story as we talk and kind of go through our presentation today. But let me just share with you. I started working with Christy in 2012, and she was at $250,000. By 2013, we had gone to almost $600,000 in gross closed income. And then look at the numbers. In 2014, she went to $1.1 million. 2015, $1.7. 2016, $2.1. In 2017, Christy lives in in Houston, Texas area, when they had all those hurricanes, their income dropped to 1.9, but in 2018 it went right back up to 2.6. In 2019, she's on track to do over $3 million in gross closed income. Her big hairy goal of just making $500,000 has been shattered as her limiting beliefs were shattered as she implemented the systems and the processes that I'm getting ready to show you. When you ask Christy, I sent Christy a text just the other day and I said, hey Christy, can you shoot me a quick note and tell me what the biggest difference coaching has made in your life? And this is a response. She goes, absolutely, with 2 exclamation points. She said, the difference for me between success and failure has been a high level of implementation of the Workman systems. And then I love it. She says, it's kind of simple, but it hasn't been easy. And I want you to remember these words. As I start showing you the systems and processes that we help Christy and Cleve and many others implement in their business, I want you to remember, it's simple, but it's not easy. And that's what Christy had to say. So what if we took the whole essence of everything we did for Christy and we created a system, and then we built modules and processes to help other people duplicate her success? Well, today, thousands of people are signing up for coaching just to have access to the exact same systems that we built as we were coaching the Cleves and the Christies and others of this world. And so imagine what impact that would have on your business if you have access to all of those things. We have 5 critical steps on how to build a successful team. Here's what we know. Number 1, we have to figure out where we are, and we have to know some real important critical numbers. Then we have to, once we identify your critical numbers, we have to actually understand where your income gaps are, and then we train and coach to those gaps. We lead with revenue by finding the areas in your business where you should be making money, but you're not. And then we train and we build modules to coach to those gaps so that we fill those income gaps. Then we create what I like to call is operational excellence. And that means everything we do in your business, you have to have a system for it. Anything we duplicate 3 times, I want a system or a process for it, so it happens without you even thinking about it. You just turn it on and it goes. And then we figure out what that means to have a win every day, and then we keep daily score. By doing that, you will find yourself in a situation just like Christy. So I'm going to take you back to the first conversation I had with Christy, and I wanted to know where she was. I wanted to know where she was in her business. Let's see if I can get this to open here. I want to show you I got to get my mouse to move over to here. Here we go. I want to show you Christy's business assessment. Okay, here, let's go. This is the easy way to do this. I'm going to go into my Google Drive, because in Google Drive is where everything lives. You're going to find that we do a lot of training and a lot of the coaching do in Google Drive. So I'm going to put Christy Buck assessment. And inside of the Christy Buck whoops. Here's Christy Buck's assessment. So I'm going to open this up for you. And I just want to share with you what it looked like when Christy came into coaching. I'm going to blow this up. And so this is where I asked Christy, I want to know all about her business. How long have you been doing this? She says 11 to 20 years. What's your age range? 30 to 40. Have you been in real estate for less than 2 years? She said no. What are some of the designations you have? She says, I'm a platinum, meaning she makes about $250,000. I asked her some other really important questions, like, what are your personal strengths that have helped you be successful? And she says, I'm extremely motivated. I'm personal and approachable, and I have a lot of knowledge. And I said, okay, think about your best year and worst years financially. Now, I want you to look carefully at these numbers, because in this business assessment, she gives us some real clear indicators of what she knows and doesn't know about her business. First of all, she says, my best year was 75 to 150. My worst year is 25 to 75. Then she says, I really don't have any tracking, so this is a good guess. And I say, okay, what was your net? Well, she gives me the same numbers. Well, how is that possible that her gross is the same as her net? The reality is she wasn't really tracking it, and she didn't really know. This I will tell you about Christy, because she came from poverty. She saved every penny. And so she had a very high net profit because she was a saver. If she made it, she paid herself first and she put it into savings. And to her credit, that's part of why she's been so successful. I asked her where her business comes from. Her average sales price of a home is $179. Average sales price of her buyers is around $205. We talked about her split, the percentage of houses that actually sell. And then This is another really telling question. I said, what are the 5 things that you spend most of your day doing? Here's what she said: negotiating, setting appointments, preparing for appointments, reviewing and completing each file, and then making a list of the to-dos and then going out and doing them. Now, so as you look at this, I want to ask you this question. Which of those things do you think you should be focused on? Negotiating, setting appointments, preparing for appointments, reviewing the files and making a list. 4 of the 5 things are administrative assistant tasks. So she spends most of her day doing things that don't generate any revenue. There's only one thing that's an agent thing on there, and that's negotiating. That's something you have to be licensed to do. Everything else you can delegate, from setting appointments to preparing for the appointments to making the files and doing the to-dos. And I asked her, so what single activity do you consider the most important when it comes to your level of income? And she says, I got to keep business in my pipeline. I think that's interesting. Remember that answer to that question. What do you love about the business? It's dealing with grateful clients. What's the hardest part? Making sure I've remembered every detail. What resources do you think are missing for your success? And she says, I need systems to be in place. Tracking business, bookkeeping, office policies and procedures, the defined job description. She knew she needed leverage, but she knew she couldn't teach what she was doing very well on her own to other people because she hadn't created a system around it. I asked her how many listings she had, how many buyers, how many transactions, and then look at this question. Now, remember number 18. What is the most important thing you focus on? She said, getting new business. So how many hours a day do you prospect? She says, none. Wait a minute. Didn't you say that was the most important thing you do? I want you to think about that. We know what the most important thing is, but we don't actually do it. So how do we get from knowing to actually doing? How many days a week do you prospect? She goes, I'm not going to answer that question. I said, none on the other one. And so I said, okay, so let's talk about your level of technology. I asked her how much she uses it. We got into what tools she used. I said, what are your biggest frustrations? She says, everything. Do you have critical tools that aren't working? If so, what? I don't know. I asked her, what is your most urgent business problem? And while you're on this call, I want you to take a second. I want you to write this down. Write the answer to this question down, because on your business consultation, we're going to ask this question to you again. What is your most urgent business problem? And Christy said, I need to build a foundation, but I need to build my business at the same time. And I want you to think about emotionally what's going on in her head. She's like, I know I need to build a business, but I can't stop doing the business. So how do I manage that? How do I do both? And that was causing a high level of stress internally, because she knows she needs to make the money to provide for her family, but she also knows there's opportunities that are going away because she doesn't have any more time. And that conflict happens in so many of our lives and so many of our businesses. I said, what tools do you use? She said, I have so many. I said, what's your big, hairy goal? What do you really want to make? And she says, if I could just make $500,000, if I could just double, that would be amazing. And I said, okay, do you live within your means? She says, yes, I do. How much of a priority is making more money? She said, high. I love that because that means she's hungry. I love to coach people that are hungry. They want it. They want it more than they want to breathe, and they're willing to do the hard things to get it. How much of a priority is making money? She says, high. I said, what holds you back financially? And I know many of you will have this same thought as we talk about coaching on this call today. She says, it's the fear of spending more money in order to make more. And that's a legitimate emotion. How do you feel about your current level of success in your work and life? Is there balance? She says, not so good. I strive to do much better. And then I asked her a couple of heart questions. I said, do you have ample time for your family and non-business activities? She said, no. It was an easy answer for her. She says, I feel like I never have time to stop working and be a mom. And so I feel like if I'm not working, I won't make ends meet. So I work 13 hours a day. And I know you can hear the pain in her voice as she's describing her relationship with her boys. Christy is a good mom, and her boys are in high school at this time, and she loves them dearly. Do you have a written strategic business plan? And she says, sorry, I don't. I said, how do you organize your daily activities? She says, I make a list every day, and I just mark them off and get them done. What holds you back? She says, lack of systems. And I said, okay, is there anything you want Verl to know about you before you talk to him? And she put in 4 letters, all capital. She just said this, help. And you could put next to it me, just help me. Well, because of who Christy was, and because of her heartfelt example, and because she wanted to make a difference in the lives of her boys and never have to rely on a man ever again to support them financially, I took her on as a client. And it was amazing to see what someone who is driven, who is hungry, who is humble, and who is coachable can do in their business. Let me go back to the slide deck, and I'll share with you a few other things. I want to share with you, let's see if I can do this here. So as a result of going through what we did with Christy, what does it look like today? Where's her business? Here's her 2018 results. In 2018, that's right now, this is what her business looks like. In January, it was 103. February, 103,000 in commissions. March, 203,000. April, 303,000. May was 262. June was 247. July was 237. Then 221. Then 261. Then 255. Then 128. And then 345. Now, when you look at this right here, you see her last year's commissions in the last 12 months, and you say, wow, it doesn't take only 2 months to get to her lifetime big hairy goal of $500,000. So what did Christy do? How did we get her there? What are the activities or things that she had to do to actually get to this level of production? Well, I'm getting ready to tell you. Where does it all start? Where does it begin? What's the first thing we had Christy do? So we did a big business assessment where we talked about her goals and where she wanted to be, and we looked at all of her things. And I said, Christy, where do your leads come from? She says, marketing. And I said, what do you mean by that? She says, well, marketing. I do lots of marketing. I have, fridge magnets, and I'm on grocery store carts, and I think she had a billboard. She says, I do marketing. And I said, so when people come to you, where do you put the leads? She says, well, I put them everywhere. I put them on yellow sticky notes. I put them in my phone. I put them in different places. I have yellow pads, and I have a list of all the leads. And I says, oh my gosh, how do you follow up with all of them? She says, well, I try. I said, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a lead tracker. And in this lead tracker, we're going to track where your business actually comes from. And so we created a lead tracker. Now, as this loads here, I'm going to go all the way back to 2013. And I want you to notice a couple of things. First of all, let's see if we can make this a little bit smaller on the screen. There we go. I want you to notice where the leads come from. There's not a leads coming in, but we start tracking them on the lead tracker. The next thing I want to share with you is, let's go up right here. By 2014, when you look at the summary, we're starting to get more meaningful data. There's more leads. We're tracking where the leads are coming from. By 2015, now we're really tracking it. Now we've got hundreds of leads coming in, and you'll notice that we started adding some people to her team. What happened is we decided that we were going to put every lead in the lead tracker on first contact. So when a lead comes in, I wanted to know when the lead came in, the client's name, the agent that got the lead date, the next scheduled touch, whether they were added to their contact manager, and whether we won or lost the leads. What you're looking at right here in green is when we won the business. The green numbers are the won leads. The red numbers are the lost. What happened is we became very, very good at converting leads when we started tracking them. That which gets measured gets done. And then Christy said, okay, so I'm doing well, business is growing, but I need to create some leverage. And so we hired a couple of people. The problem was when we hired people, they wouldn't do the activities that Christy was doing to get the results she was doing, and it was very frustrating. And so we decided that we were going to create a tracker to help her agents become more successful. So we hired and we created what we call is the Daily Success Habits Tracker. Let's see if I can get my mouse over here. The Daily Success Habits Tracker is real simple. It's where an agent goes in and makes a commitment to get 61 points a day. Now, I want everybody to look at this because this is a tool that I'm going to make available to all of you after this webinar today. The Daily Success Habits Tracker is the basic fundamentals for a successful business. Whether you're an individual agent or a team, it doesn't matter. The difference between the average and the exceptional is not the quality of the individual, but it's the activities they focus on. And we learned if you track the activities that generate the result that you want, you can create a duplicatable process. And so we track the number of dials it takes to have a conversation, the number of conversations it takes to make an appointment, how many appointments it takes to get a closing. And then we track what we do in 30-minute increments throughout the day, and then we track dollar productive activities. And you get a point for doing each one of those dollar producing activities. This is called the Daily Success Habits Tracker. Now, I'm going to show you how that works when we go into Workbench. Workbench is our automated, and let me just take you into it. I'm going to show it to you. Workbench is where we put all of our clients who are in coaching. Now, I want you to look at this for just a minute, and I want you to imagine all of these agents and all of their teams putting their daily success habits into a single tracker. It starts to give us some pretty meaningful data. You can see, and I'm going to show you that just what's happened. I'm just going to go this year to date. When I click on year to date, it loads all the teams, all of their dials, all of their numbers into one single dashboard. So we know what's going on in the business. How many calls are being made this year? How many prospecting emails? How many handwritten notes are being sent? How many times is an agent showing a minimum of 2 houses to a client? How many buyer appointments are set as a result of those calls? How many listing appointments are set as a result of those calls? And then I can go through team by team by team and see which teams are generating the points. And you can see that a lot of teams are generating a lot of points. The daily points being generated right now is 1.8 million points a day. Can you imagine the number of people that are being affected and being communicated with just that are being coached by Workman Success Systems? This is all tracked in Workbench, and we started putting Christy's numbers for her team inside of Workbench along with our others. Now I want you to check this one out here. The results of those activities are displayed on our key numbers. So now this shows us how much business has been generated this year as a result of those activities. Now, I don't know if this is impressive to anybody else, but this is fewer than 300 teams. These teams, putting their numbers in here, have done $79 million in commissions this year alone. Now, do the math on that. They've done over $2.5 billion in sales. There are major brands that have hundreds and if not thousands of agents that are not producing at this level. The difference is we're tracking the activities that generate the results we want, and we're getting results. Look at how many 7-figure teams, 1.3, 1.6, 2.9, 2.5, 2.0, 2.5. That's the year-to-date income of so many of the teams that we're coaching. So many high 6-figure and high 7-figure teams, and it's all right there inside of Workbench. So we put the numbers in Workbench, and we started tracking everything, and as a result, it created more opportunities. So we have to hire someone. Now this is where it gets really stressful for a lot of people. I know I have a slide on this, and maybe I'll get to it in a moment, but there's some key things that you need to know in your business. One is that for every 25 leads you generate, you need to add another buyer's agent. So it came time to hire a new team member. And so we went into the Workman Success Training Center, and we went and simply did a few things. We go in and we created training for her buyer's agents. And so if I go to the training center, let me just show you what that looks like. This is our Real Teams Training Center. So this is the Workman Success Systems Training Center. Inside the Training Center, when you hire a buyer's agent, we've created Buyer Agent Mastery. So Christy would hire a buyer's agent, and then we would put him through the buyer agent training. Then she would hire an administrative assistant. We put them through the admin training program. When we hire a listing partner, we put them through the listing agent mastery. Each one of these programs is designed to get you to 2 additional transactions per month. So a buyer's agent going through the buyer agent mastery, by following the systems that we teach, and you'll notice that it's daily success habits, business planning, how do we manage an A lead, a B lead, and a C lead? What's the magic script? How do we say location, price, motivation, work with an agent, qualify for a mortgage, and then set the appointment? We teach the agents how to set appointments and how to move people forward in the process. And then we get into internet lead conversion, getting buyer's agreements signed, power prospecting, learning disc profiles, and how to sell different people differently. That's all included in the Buyer Agent Mastery Program. When you go back and you say, okay, well, I want more, we go into the Listing Agent Mastery Program. And imagine this. Imagine taking half a dozen of the top listers in the country, bringing them into your office and sitting down and saying, share with me everything you do to get a listing. These are people that list 200-300 houses a year, all sharing what they do before, during, and after a listing. That's setting them up for success, the pre-listing process, what they do during the listing appointment. There's a whole series of just videos on what to do when you're inside the home to make sure that you guarantee the listing. What do you do to follow up after that listing appointment? Each of these modules are in the SLAM program. I promise you that the training center was built for coaching our team. So we built the program so that we could help when agents would hire someone, adding them to the team. That was the Workman Success System. So let me talk to you about some of the simple things that made a big impact with Christy's business. One of the things that happens when you're dealing with a driving personality type, I don't know how many of you on this call, most of you as real estate agents are driven for success. You're hungry for additional income. You know you can do it, and you see people that out there that are performing higher than you, but you know you're worth it. And so you know what you can do, and you have all these ideas. You come to a webinar like this, or you go to a or you go to a convention, whether it's the NAR or your brand convention, and you get all excited because the speakers are sharing technology and systems. You get all these ideas, and you don't know how to implement them. Well, guess what? That's me. I'm the idea guy. I got millions of ideas to the point where I drive my team crazy. And so eventually someone came to me and says, Verl, you got to create structure to your ideas. And I said, okay, let's do that. But we had to dumb it down for my mind. So I had a business partner who was who came from the technology world, and he said to me, Verl, in IT, in software development, we use this process called Agile Project Management. And he described Agile Project Management to me, and I said, that's brilliant, but can we dumb it down for my simple mind? And so we went and we created Agile Project Management. And so what Agile Project Management is it's where we take all your ideas and we put them onto a program, and we call it our Agile. Now, I'm going to bring up a more current, I'm going to show you a different one here. I'm going to show you Christy's actual Agile for this year. When I go into Christy's Agile, you want to know what she's working on right now? These are the actual items that she's focused on. So what happens is whenever you have an idea, we put the project in what's called the backlog screen. So these are all the projects that are here. She's got 61 different projects. Now let me ask you this. Can you work on 61 projects at a time? Well, of course not. So what we do is we take the projects and put them on the backlog, and then I teach her how to go in and create priorities to those projects. The priorities are based on what the most important thing is now. We focused on dollar productive activities, events with date, and operational excellence. We put them into the Agile, and we teach you how to actually think strategically. So here's what would happen here. So her goal right now is we got to get her current agents closing an additional 2 transactions a month. We did her lead count. She has so many leads that we need to hire 17 more agents and 2 inside salespeople. So when you come down here and you say, okay, this is a high priority, we build what's called a sprint. This is a sprint on how to hire 17 agents by the end of the year, and this is what you can see her team is doing to actually make that happen. Now, this should blow your mind when you look at it. The difference between average agents and exceptional agents is the exceptional agents execute around priorities. It was really interesting, and I'll show this screen here. Let me see what's next. The difference is instead of being accidental and throwing a bunch of stuff against the wall and hoping it sticks, is we teach our clients to think strategically, to be specific. Now, let me give you an example of what I mean by that, okay? So here's Christy's business in 2018. In August of 2018, we were looking at her forecasting on her transaction tracker, and there wasn't very much in the hopper. We knew that November and December were going to be horrible months. And so because we were looking at it in August, we decided that we were going to specifically focus on getting her listing inventory up. So we went into her Agile and we created a sprint called getting her listing inventory up. And our goal was to get her listing inventory up to 75 active listings. She only had 25. So, I mean, I want you to know that that's a big goal. Like, how do we get from 25 to 75? So we created a list of all the things we needed to get her listing inventory to 75, and then watch what happens. What happens is when you focus on it in August, 3 months later, September, October, November, December becomes the magic month. December, she ended up making $345,000 in commission, and January was just as good. So because we thought strategically, we built a plan for it, we weren't accidental in the way the business was. I don't know how many of you think this way, but how many of you have your best month of the year in December? Like, seriously. Like, most of us take our foot off the gas in September and October, and then we coast to the end of the year, and then we build our business plans in the end of December, the beginning of January, and then we wait till the spring market comes back to get busy. The reason we have massive ups and downs in our business is because we aren't thinking strategically in advance, and that's what the coaching does, is we sit with Christy and we think strategically, and that's why she's on target to have her best year ever this year, even though last year was her best year ever. It's fun to talk to Christy, and she's sitting by the side of her pool having fun with her kids instead of just being at work all the time. She never works evenings anymore. She doesn't work weekends. She no longer works with buyers. And I'll tell you, and this is probably something that she would never tell you, is that she also never works with listings anymore. Her business is focused on business development, going after the big deals, and people development, really helping her people be successful. And she gets just as much joy out of that as she did by listing and selling houses. So what happened is her focus changed, and by changing her focus, it changed her result. And by changing her result, it gave her the life that she intentionally wanted instead of that was being accidentally created for her. Next, I'm going to share with you how we help people kind of get to another stratosphere when it comes to implementation. And so when Christy decided it was time to hire someone, we gave her all of these modules and things that needed to help her. And we do this by putting trackers in Google Drive. You'll see that in your workbench, you'll see the Agile, you'll see the lead tracker, you'll see the strategic plan, the team organization chart, and all of those things. Those are all documents that are found here in our private coaching platform called Workbench. So built inside a Workbench, this is where all the tools reside that you have access to as a client. And from here, you see all the coaching calls are being recorded. You can have access to those, and then all of your coaching modules are here. And this is how we coach. So the biggest difference between probably what you see with what Workman Success Systems does and everybody else is we don't coach on a curriculum. There's not a book that we follow. Every client is unique, and every coach is different. And so what we do is we apply modules where there are gaps in the business to the specific business that's struggling. So instead of making everybody go through the same hoops, we just apply the things that make the most sense. And that's done inside of Workbench. Now, as I show you all this stuff and you see all of these numbers, it probably blows you away. Like, especially if you're a solo agent. Imagine going from 250 to 3 million and growing a team. Well, it blows your mind because you don't have the life experiences yet, just like Zig said to me. He said, don't let your limiting experiences up to this point determine what success you get in your life. Open yourself up to new experiences and you'll get a new result. And that's exactly what I'm going to ask you to do. Instead of saying, why this might not work for me, you know, this probably won't work for me, I want you to say this. Why not me? Why not me? Why can't I be the next Christy Buck or the next Cleve Gaddis or the next Brooke Sines? Why not me? Okay, so the next thing we do is we build these really cool org charts. If you want to see Christy's org chart, this is what her org chart looks like today. So I can bring up her organizational chart, and we do all of this in Google Drive. This is her team org chart. Inside the org chart, you can see who Christy has that works for her. You can see her staff. You can see her commercial team, her realtor team, and you can see the member details. So I can click on the member details, and it breaks down all of the people, the description of their duties, how long they've been with the company, and what they do. All of those are built in the organizational chart. But I want you to know that it all starts with one. It was Christy. And then Samantha became her assistant, and then we grew from there. It all begins somewhere. And as you have new experiences, it allows you to have new beliefs, and your beliefs gives you the ability to grow. What's kind of cool is inside of Workbench, we have the ability to click on Christy's business, and we can look at how many current active listings she has. What are the closed transactions she's done year to date? What does her year-to-date commission look like? What's her sales volume? How many listings are pending? You know, I love having a business that's done almost 90 million in sales with 48 deals pending right now. That's 48 under contract that are getting ready to close. And there's a whole bunch in the hopper. That's why we know she's going to go from 1.9 to 3 million by the end of the year. It's an exciting place, not only for Christy, but for everybody on her team. And so how do we get there? We focus real carefully on the activities that our team members are doing. So every day they put in their daily success habits on their daily success habits tracker. Then they enter them into Workbench, and then we can see what the individual agents are doing. So when I look at Mona, I can see she's made 5,100 calls, she's done 8,500 emails, she sent 512 handwritten notes, and we look at each of the individual items. We know that every week you should do about 305 points. So if we're looking at the last 30 days in data, there should be about 1,200 points. I can go into any team, and if their agents aren't getting 1,200 points, I'll then go in and look at their production and find that, you know what, they're not producing where they should. They're not doing the minimum of 2 transactions a month like we talked about. So this is the snapshot of our individual agents and what they're doing. This is all of our clients across the board. I already showed you that screen live. This is the leaderboard of who's doing great from a commission standpoint. This shows you our coach engagements and what they're doing. Workman Success Coaching is not magical or mysterious, but it is unique. And what makes it unique is that we have coaches who are in the game. meaning we don't take people who did it back in the day and make them coaches. You have to believe that there's another level you could be performing at, and then engage with someone who's either coaching or performing at a higher level than you are. And so here's some of the requirements. Here's what it takes if you think you're ready to become a client of Workman Success Systems. You know, I'd like to say that we take everybody, but we're not really a good fit for everybody. And so if you're looking at the systems, you're looking at the processes and some of the things that I'm sharing with you, and you wonder if you're a good fit, here's some of the things I'd like you to consider. Number one, you have to believe that there's another level that you could be performing at, and you should be there. You have to want it and believe that there's another level. Number two is you have to be willing to change the way you're doing things. You know, the way you're doing things has helped you get to the level of success you have right now, but you can't get to the next level by doing the same things that got you here. I like to say that massive action creates a massive result. And so if you're not willing to take massive action and do something big, different, then you're not going to get a big, different result. Number three is you need to be coachable. Now, and I'm not saying that just like flippantly. I want you to understand that what it means to be coachable is that you have to, as the great Howard Brent used to say, get out of judgment and get into curiosity. You have to be curious. If everything I show you, you think, oh, I do it better than that, or I'm doing it better than that, or I'm just fine the way it is, you're probably not a good fit. You're not going to be coachable. If you're producing less than $2 or $3 million a year in income, and yet you think what you're doing is better than what I'm showing you, you're probably not coachable because you're not performing at the level that I'm sharing with you, and that you're telling me that all the things you have are already better. Does that make any sense to you at all? And so you've got to get out of your own way and be open to change. Number four is generally coaching clients come into coaching are already making at least $100,000 a year in gross commissions. If you're making less than $100,000 a year, then it might make more sense for you to start in our training center or start with some of the tools that I get you, and let's get you to that $100,000 so that coaching is not a financial hardship for you while you start. And then if you're at a level and you're making 100 grand, but you want to go to 250, or if you're at 250 and you're like, okay, I'm ready, I need to go to 500. You're at 500, you're ready to double, you want to go to $1 million gross closed income, or if you're at $1 million gross and it's time for you to get to $1 million net, that's who I'm talking to. Then I want you to go and I want you to say, let's go. If you're ready for that next level, say, let's go. These are some of you. Go to workmansuccesssystems.com. You can click on coaching. It'll bring up our website, and you can be introduced to our coaches. These are our master level coaches right here, some of the greatest coaches in the world. These are people that are running very successful seven-figure businesses or have in the past. As you look through our coaches, there's over 50 amazing individuals that all have and run amazing businesses. But what makes them unique is the fact that they are willing to give. What makes a Workman Success coach great is it's someone that we've coached, that we've taught to run and to have their business run so well that allows them to give back and coach other people. Think about that for a second. Wait a second. I'm making $1 million a year in my real estate business. Why would I coach somebody else? I can't pay these coaches enough to make it worth it for them. They do it because they love the game. They love changing people's lives and having an impact. They love helping people live lives at a higher level. You've heard it said, if you give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day, but if you teach a man to fish, you'll feed him for a lifetime. There is no place that I would rather be than on my boat at Lake Powell with my daughter Carly catching striped bass, one after another after another. What's important to you right now? What's the big thing in your life that you wish you had more time to spend with? You know, we all make a decision that we're going to, work hard for the benefit of our families. But I'm going to tell you right now that your families don't need your money. They need you. And if you're working hard at the expense of your family, then you're probably failing. And I want you to really think about that. We trade time for money. And so if you're going to be away from your families, from the people that matter most in your life, how about we make a decision right here, just on this call, just between us. Let's make a decision to make it worth it. If I'm going to be away from my Carly, if I'm going to be away from my other 5 children or my 7 grandkids, I need it to be worth it. So what do people do? I love this graphic because this describes most of you on the call. This is the realtor. We're juggling our families. We're juggling buyers, sellers, administrative tasks. We have all of these things that we're doing, and we can't do any more. And so we have to start making choices. And that is, when I pick something new up, I have to put something else down. I pick up a buyer at the expense of going to a ball game. We don't start with the intention of not being at the ball game. We start by not going to practices, or by making our kids carpool, by choosing to be there but be on our phones. When we say yes to something, we say no to something else. And my guess is that we usually say no to the things that matter the most, because we know they can't go away and it's not right. And so today's consumer, and I promise you this is true, today's consumer is trained to work with teams. Something has to give. When your life is like this and you have no more hands and you can't pick any more up, but there's more opportunities and your kids are getting busier and you have to get engaged, you have to make a change. That's why teams matter. You know, it was really interesting. Last year I had back surgery. I had my spine fused. And I wanted to get in. Now I want you to think about this for a minute. If you're going to go have back surgery, who do you want to do it? I went to my doctor, and my doctor, who's a general practitioner, said, "Oh, I can do your back surgery, Verl. It's not even a problem." As a matter of fact, I also do wrists and knees, and I do backs occasionally. A general surgeon. And I thought to myself, as much as this guy has confidence, I don't want a general practitioner. I want someone who does so many back surgeries they can do it in their sleep. I want the guy who did Tiger Woods back surgery. I want a rock star back surgeon. You mess up my back, I can't walk, I can't move, I can't speak, I can't do what I love. And so I did everything I did, all the research, and I found the doctor. I knew who I wanted to get in to see. And I called his office and I said, "I want to get in to see you." You know what his receptionist said? "We have a closed practice. We're not taking on any new clients." Now, for those of you who know me, you know that my motto is we persist until we succeed. And so I started reaching out to my network. Who do I know that's a doctor? Who are my neighbors that are doctors? Who do I have in my past life that knows doctors? I found out that one of the doctors who's a partner with me in a houseboat that we have where we go to Lake Powell every summer happens to be friends. His wife is friends with the surgeon's wife. And I said to Leanne, "I need your help. I need you to get me in to see this doc." And she said, "Oh, I'll call his wife." She called his wife, and the next day I got a text. The text says, "Okay, the doctor will meet with you." And I was so excited that I could finally get into the doctor that I wanted to see that would do my surgery. They set my appointment for 3 o'clock the following week, and I went in to meet him. I sat in the waiting room, and I was first greeted by the receptionist who said, "Hi, can I see your insurance card and your form of payment?" I said, "No problem," and I gave her my insurance card, then I gave her my form of payment, and she said, "Wait right there. We'll be with you shortly." 30 minutes later, 45 minutes later, an hour later, I continue to wait. An hour and 45 minutes later, a gentleman comes to the door and comes to the little door, opens it up and says, "Mr. Workman?" I get up and I go, "Yeah, hi," and he says, "Hi, I'm the physician's assistant to your doctor. You'll be meeting with me today." My heart sunk. I thought, wait a second, I want to talk to the surgeon. Doesn't he know that we have friends whose wives are friends and know each other? And he says, "I know the doctor got called into an emergency surgery, so come on back. Let's have a look at your MRI." And he sat with me and he described where the disc had blown out and where the nerve pressure was happening and why I was struggling. And he said, "We've met and I've talked to the doctor and this is what we think we need to do and here's how we're going to do it." And after spending an hour with me, I realized that I was talking to a true expert, someone who had worked for the doctor for 20 years, that knew everything the doctor would have said to me, just like the doctor would have said it. I scheduled the surgery and went in. Now, the cool part about this is right before the anesthesiast put me under, the doctor came in and shook my hand and says, "Hi, I'm your doc. I understand you're friends with such and such, who knows such and such, and Leanne said I better take care of you." And I said, "She's right." And the anesthesiologist says, "Count backwards from 100. I got to 99. I don't remember anything else, but I remember waking up, and the aftercare team took amazing care of me. I'm now 9 months out of surgery, and I'm back in the gym, and I'm swimming laps, and I feel great again, and I no longer have that nerve pain. I only saw the doctor for 1 second before they put me under, but he did amazing things when he was inside. I wanted the surgeon to do surgery." Today's consumer is trained to work with teams. And yet, for some reason in real estate, we seem to think nobody can do it as good as us. And so what we do is we are the surgeon, we're the receptionist, we're the physician's assistant, we're the aftercare team, we do it all. And then what happens is we build a business when we're good at it that creates more opportunities, but then we don't have any more bandwidth. But because we think that we're so important in the transaction, we aren't willing to delegate. And so what we do is we've decided to help individual agents who are phenomenal surgeons build teams around them and help them create specialty in the areas that they should be working on, the part of the business that makes it worth it for them to be away from their families. But you have to understand we need to specialize. I want you to think about this for a second. Okay, so the average agent does 7 transactions a year. 7 deals a year. They make somewhere around 30 or 40 grand gross. After expenses, they're making 20 grand. They're in poverty. Realtors are broke. I hope that's not you. I hope you're in that agent that's making 50, 60, 70 grand a year and you want to get to 100 or 200 or 500. But realtors on average don't make enough money to support their families. And because they don't make enough money to support their families, it's because they're not good at it. When you only do 7 transactions a year, you only work with 3 buyers a year and 4 sellers. You only do 7 transactions. You only deal with 7 inspections. You can't get good at it. What happens when you deal with a specialist? Well, you would deal with a buyer specialist that does 5 transactions a month and 60 transactions a year. Do you think they're better at knowing what's on the market and what you're going to have to do to get an offer accepted? Do you think someone who specializes in working with buyers is better at qualifying the buyer to make sure that they know what they can get when they buy a home? Do you think they're better at negotiating the offers and getting their contracts accepted in multiple offer situations? Do you think they're better at dealing with inspections and dealing with negotiations that happens as a result of an inspection? When you do it 60 times a year, you just get better. Take the same thing when it goes to a administrative assistant, or what I like to call client care coordinator. When you take a contract from contract to close and you do it 100 times a year, are you better at it than the general agent who does it 7? The reality is when you do it that many times, you create better systems and processes, so the client gets better served when they deal with a specialist. When I went for back surgery, I got to deal with a specialist at every area of the interaction. And when the doctor came in and did the important things, and I was great to have him there, but I didn't really care if he was there for the preliminary appointment. And I wasn't really care if he was the one doing my aftercare physical therapy. What I cared about is that when he fused my bones together, that they were done correctly. And that's what makes a difference for you in real estate as well. Here's a few things you need to know about your business. When you think about delegating, or you think about building a business, I want you to think about these critical things. First of all, for every listing you get, one listing equals 6 to 8 buyer leads a month. So one listing should generate 6 to 8 buyer leads a month. The second thing you should know is, for every listing you get, you should close 1.5 buy-side transactions. So if you list 20 houses, you should close 35 buyer sides. So 20 listings equals 55 transactions. Okay, do the math. The next thing I need you to know is for every listing that comes in, for every 25 leads that gets generated in your business, and that means sign calls, Zillow, Boomtown, Commissions Inc., whoever you're using for high volume lead generation, for every 25 leads that get generated, we have to add a buyer's agent. You saw on Christie's sprint that we have to add 17 agents. It's because she has that many leads coming in. We've gotten so good at figuring out where leads come from that all we have to do is turn up the lead count, and then we have to turn up the agent count to match it. So her option is to turn down the leads or add more agents, and she's choosing to add more agents. When you understand these numbers and you look at your own business, you'll probably find that there's some dollars you're leaving on the table. Coming into coaching isn't that we're going to make you more money, but we're definitely going to help you stop losing the opportunities that are currently being presented to you in your business. If you're a listing agent, you're doing 20 listings a year, but you're not getting 35 buy-sides, it's because you're not following up with the leads. You're taking the A leads and the ones that are ready to go right now, you're double-ending a few transactions, but all your B and C leads are going away with the good intent that you'll follow up with them later. But the reality is you're too busy, you're not going to get to them. And so you don't. And so we underperform, and that hurts your brand and it hurts your income. Making 50% of those 35 transactions is a lot more than making 0. The reason that we don't hire people is because we struggle giving up our most precious things. We think that, matter of fact, you're probably sitting there thinking, oh, in our market it's different, or my clients just want to do business with me, they don't want a team. I promise you, every single agent we coach starts with that feeling or that emotion, is that, hey, people really want me. When you learn that you can take yourself out of the equation and make it about them instead of about you, you'll give them better service and you'll sell more transactions as a result of that. You'll serve more people when you stop making it about you. It's all about them. We hold on to things so tight. We hold on to our transactions. We hold on to our referrals. We hold on to our buyers. We hold on to the processing. And the very things that we're holding on, just like Gollum in Lord of the Rings, just like Gollum, the very thing that holds on to you is the very thing that will destroy you. Oftentimes, performers that are on a high trajectory have a high level of burnout because they can't let go. If I can teach you what to let go, and then I can teach you how to hire the right people, all of a sudden, your life changes. It gets better because you create leverage. Now, this is kind of fun right here. This is Christy, and this is her assistant, Samantha's DISC profile. We don't hire or fire to DISC, but it's very much a part of our library. We actually have a DISC motivators test that everybody goes through. As a coaching client, you'll get your own DISC motivators link, and anybody you think about bringing onto your team will go through this process. On the right-hand side is Christy. You'll notice Christy is a super high D. Like many of our leading agents, they're high drivers. And she's also a high I, life of the party. People love her. But I want you to look at her C. On the right-hand side, you'll see that she's a very low C. She's not highly analytical. So her systems and processes were not in place. You saw that when we saw her questionnaire when she said, you know, what's your gross versus your net? She's like, I have no idea. I have no tracking. So she hired Samantha. Samantha is a rock star administrative assistant. And so Samantha, if you look on the left-hand column, look at where her C is. That's her attention to detail. Those are her critical thinking. That's the one where she can't go to bed at night unless the to-do list is done. So Christy comes onto the team, and she decides she's going to hire Samantha, and then we start putting processes and systems in place. By having the right people with the right behavioral style in the right seats, we have so much greater likelihood of success. And your coach will be very instrumental in helping you hire the right people. I'm going to share with you a few tools and things that will get you there. The next thing I want you to understand is that a lot of people don't want to be leaders because they're afraid they're going to have to babysit agents. How many of you had that thought right here? I don't want to build a team because I don't want to babysit people. Well, guess what? You don't have to hire people that you have to babysit. I like to say to my team leaders that if I have to manage you, I don't need you. If I have to babysit you, I don't need you. Now, just like parenting, we still have to have rules and we have to create accountability so that we can inspect what we expect. But we don't incorporate accountability so that we babysit people. We put accountability in there because we want to make sure they're doing the activities that will give them the greatest result for them. I never compare my team members to my team leader. I never say to Christy's buyer's agents, I want you to be like Christy. I want them to be as good as they can be, and I give them daily success habits and a perfect week scheduler and tools and resources to be able to measure what they're doing, and then I hold them accountable to do it because I care about them so much. Accountability equals love. If you care about people enough to help them grow, then you're willing to incorporate accountability as a leader. So please think of accountability as love. So here's a real simple team leader, a real simple team. Usually what happens is you get a team leader starts in the business and they hire a client care coordinator. And then they get someone that can help them with buyers. They get a buyer's agent and then usually 2 or 3 buyer's agents. This is a more complex team. As teams grow, we start adding additional positions. We had buyer's agents and we have listing partners. And I want you to know there's a structure for all of these things. There's a compensation structure, there's a contract, there's an onboarding process. The reasons we don't hire team members is because we have what I like to call our excuses for failure. And that is that we don't have the training we need to bring them on. And so we're afraid that if we bring them on, we're not going to be able to train them. We don't want to let them down, so we never bring them on. We bring people on, but then we let them set the tone of how the team's going to run. And I'm telling you right now that if you let your children run the household, there will be no rules. And so you have to set the tone of how you want your agents to perform. I like to say that we want to create what I call as a culture of productivity. And what a culture productivity means, it means that every day we do a daily huddle. We practice scripts and dialogues. We look at their daily success habits, and then we get on the phone and we prospect every single day. And we do it as a team, and it creates an environment where people want to hang out. But it's all built on our core values. And if you don't have core values that talk about why we do the hard things, then your team's going to fall apart. And so we build teams based on all of those things. I don't know, folks, do you feel like this is difficult, that I'm sharing with you things that are blowing your mind a little bit? Do you feel like you're always chasing the dream, kind of like Wile E. Coyote, always chasing after the roadrunner, but you just can't catch up? Do you feel like you can't solve your own issues by just working harder? I want you to know that it's not about working more. Everything that I share with you, all of the concepts that I'm sharing with you, is not about working harder. It's about inserting intelligence into the way we do things. Think about it. I want you to be intelligent and strategic and intentional. Remember, Christy was working 13 hours a day, and she was only making $250,000 a year. Now she's working 4 days a week, no longer on evenings and weekends, making between $2 and $3 million. The difference isn't it's not that you want to work harder, it's that you want to create leverage. Leverage in your business, leverage in your life. I believe that everything can be outsourced except your spouse. Let me introduce you to Brooke Sines. Brooke Sines is an amazing individual from Michigan. And when I met Brooke, it was really interesting. I said, Brooke, why'd you come into real estate? She was only a year into real estate. And she said, well, I'm new in real estate, and I used to book motivational speakers for a living. And it became such an all-consuming thing that I decided I wanted to be present in the lives of my 2 young children. So I quit the corporate world as a very successful booker of speakers, and I went into real estate. Now, I always laugh when I hear her say that, like she quit a job because she was always gone and got into real estate feeling like she'd be able to have her own free time. Here's the problem. In her first year, she sold 30 houses and did pretty good and hired Workman Success Systems that year. But when you're good at real estate, what happens is more opportunities get presented. And so Brooke was seeing herself, wait a minute, she says, I'm working more than I was when I was in the corporate world. I'm never home on weekends and evenings, so I'm showing and listing houses, driving people around. So she started coaching. She achieved Rookie of the Year that year, but the very next year we set a goal. The goal was to create leverage by incorporating systems and processes into her life. Her coach is Sarah Goldie, who lives in Florida but runs a 7-figure team in the Washington, D.C. area. And so Sarah started working with Brooke and started helping her develop her systems and helping her develop her processes. By 2016, she almost doubled, going to 55 houses and 10 million in volume. And she started adding people. She added an administrative assistant, and then she added a buyer's agent, and then another buyer's agent. She started following coaching advice. She added Commissions Inc. for lead generation. She started putting accountability in place, like we've been talking about it. She made the Ogmandino scrolls part of her DNA and built her business on core values. She even engaged and wanted to help others because it was making such an impact on her life, and became a Workman Success coach. By 2017, she was at 100 houses a year and over 20 million in volume. 2018, she jumped it again to 130 and 25 million. In 2019, her best year ever. She'll sell over 75, well, already year to date, she sold over 75 houses and 20 million. She's gonna way surpass her previous year's numbers. What's cool about Brooke right now is her husband just got transferred from Michigan to North Carolina. So Brooke has built a system that isn't all about her. She's elevated a team member to become a team leader. She's keeping her team in Michigan, and she just bought into a team and took over a team in North Carolina, and she's going to build another 7-figure business there. When you have all of the systems and you have all of the processes, you stop being the person who creates a great job for yourself and you build an actual business. It creates these kinds of opportunities. And that's what happens when you come into coaching. Now, there's different types of coaching. We have coaching for individual agents who just want to put more structure in their life. And with those agents, we put systems in place so that everything is automated and allows them to scale. So they can go to bed at night knowing that everything is being checked off and everything is done. Sometimes these single agents will hire a virtual assistant or someone to just help them transactionally. Oftentimes companies or brokers and owners will add additional support staff. We encourage agents to use the tools and the resources that are being provided by their brokerages. Individual agents have massive success with Workman Success Systems. Nobody should tell anybody else whether or not they should grow a big team. You have to do what's right for you, and we'll be the guide in that process. We have coaching for CEOs, individuals who want to take their business to the new strategy. They want to add a buyer's agent. They want to have multiple buyer's agents, listing partners, administrative assistants. They want to stop thinking like a realtor, and they want to start thinking like an owner of a business, where they have the ability to have great value and someday sell it or keep it and do other things. It's really interesting right now with Christy. We're not just focused on selling more houses. We're focused on building wealth. She just bought a $2 million building and renovated it. She's moved her team into it. She's leased it out to her title company, her attorney, and her mortgage partners. She's got an insurance agency coming in, and now she's in the process of developing relationships where she can be involved in other areas of the transaction, creating financial security going forward, and capitalizing on all the opportunities that are legal, ethical, and are available to her as the owner of her team. We have coaching for brokers and owners, people who are trying to recruit agents and trying to bring them in. Most brokers struggle to be successful themselves, so they run their own teams as well. We teach them how to get their house in order so they can focus on building their brokerage. And we have special coaches specifically that are trained to help and work with broker owners who are also trying to run their teams and are just trying to run their brokerage at a higher level. We have coaches for everybody at every level. And then, of course, last but not least, we have coaching for individual team leaders, people who've started teams, but they've got the wrong compensation plans. They don't have the right people in place. They haven't created the right set of core values, and so they're dysfunctional. And so we help these team leaders eliminate the 5 dysfunctions of a team by applying systems and process, stability, and security. Your job as a team leader is to provide stability and security for your team members. That's your job, not lead generation, not babysitting, stability and security. And we have coaches at every level for every type of business. All you have to do is reach out. People ask me all the time, well, how much is it? What does it cost to coach with you guys? And there's no big secret there. We have coaching programs that go from, $850 to $5,000 a month. The difference is most of our clients come in between $1,350 and $2,150. And what happens is you'll go through a process where you come in, you go through a business analysis based on where you are. We assign you a coach, someone who's coaching or performing at a higher level than you are that can help you get to that next step. And then, of course, I shared with you Christy's example of how she was growing, what she was doing, her numbers in year-over-year growth. We talk about doubling 250 to over 600,000 to 1.1 to 1.7 to 2.1, and now she's at almost $3 million this year. I shared with Christy many things. We shared with you her results, what's happening. So where do you start? How do we actually get there? This looks like a duplicate of some of the slides that we already went through. I'm going to skip through some of these slides that we've already talked about. We talked about agile. We talked about the team structure. We talked about fishing and things that make it really different. We talked about giving up what it makes it really hard for you, and that is the things that you hold on to so tight, and letting those things go and then building a team that makes sense. Whether it's a team of 1 or a team of 10, it doesn't matter. We'll help you stop chasing that roadrunner and get on track. I shared with you Brooks signs, and now I think you probably have some questions. So let me ask you a couple of questions. First of all, I've shared with you a lot of things today. I shared with you stories, examples of high producers who've done great things. I shared with you things like the daily success habits, my perfect week, the lead tracker. I went into Workbench and I shared with you all of the tools and the resources on how we hire people. I want you to know if you think you might need it, we have a system for it inside of Workman Success Systems. And so here's the question. With what I shared from you today, did I make an impact? Remember at the beginning of the call I asked you, I said, write down your thoughts and ideas that you could implement immediately that would make a difference. So what did you write down? Are you going to do daily success habits? Are you going to start tracking your leads using a lead tracker? Will you start thinking about what it is you can delegate that will make a difference in your business today? That's the question I have for you. So really, you would come to a point where you have a couple of choices. The first choice is that you can take what I've given you and you can continue on your path. You can keep doing what you've done, and I'm okay with that. Or number 2 is you can take full advantage of everything that I've shared with you, all of the Workman Success Systems and coaching. The way that you learn is by following things the Workman way. All I need you to do is engage and tell me. I need you to say, put me in, I'm ready, I need a coach. Those are your two choices. You have to decide today whether or not you believe that we're a right fit. If you believe that we're a right fit and you're struggling to do things, but you know you can do more, if you're getting to that place where you see the other agents that are getting the awards that you believe you should be getting, they're earning the money that you wish you were missing, that you wish you were earning, and it's frustrating to you, maybe it's time that you make a change. If you're looking at all the things and you have the right attitude, but your sales don't reflect your attitude, you have the right attitude, but you're not making the income, maybe it's time that you say to yourself, I can do this, I just need help. I need a guide in the process. I need a coach, someone to take me step by step how to go through that. That's how you know if we're a fit. You'll know if we're a fit if you want it, but you just need to know how. Give me the how and show me what makes a difference. You know, it was interesting. I met a great Olympian one time. His name was John Neighbor. John Neighbor was the president of U.S. Olympians. And I asked John Neighbor one day, John has 4 gold medals, 3 silver medals. And I said, John, with all these medals, you know, by the way, you know you're more likely to win the lottery than you are to win a gold medal in the Olympics. And to have 3 of them is like unbelievable. It's such a rare group of individuals. And I said to John Neighbor, I said, John, who do you coach? Who do you decide who to coach? And John said, Verl, you ever see a kid walking a new Labrador puppy in the park, and they're pulling that kid through the park? I said, yeah. He said, I coach that puppy. He says, if I have to drag you along kicking and screaming, you're probably not a good fit. If you believe you're that puppy, and you believe that you want help, and you want to pull me along, then go into your chat bar and type in yes and say, I'm ready to go. Put me in, coach. I want to make a difference. So what do you need to do now? What you need to do right now is you need to schedule an appointment. You need to just click the link below this presentation and call us at 385-209-0042. Call us right now, or you can click the button to schedule your appointment. When you click to schedule your business consultation, what will happen is you're going to see the screen just like you see it right here. You go in, you click choose your appointment, you put the time zone you want in there, and then it'll add it to your Outlook and schedule an appointment with one of our highly trained business consultants. Whether you sign up for coaching or not, I promise you that you'll get good value out of the business consultation, because you'll get a good, clear understanding of where you are by the questions they ask, and then they're going to give you some directions on things you can do right now that will make an impact in your business, and then we'll decide together whether or not we believe there's a fit. Now, you may say yes, or you may say, I'm not saying no, I'm just saying I'm not ready yet. For those of you that feel like you may not be ready yet, I'm totally fine with that. I've never had anybody come into coaching because they were coerced or talked into it and had success. People that come into coaching want to be here. But for those of you that feel like you may not be ready yet, I'd like you to consider these 3 questions. Number 1 is, here's the question. Are you concerned that you don't have enough time? Because I get that. You're already too busy, and you can't imagine doing all these Workman things the way that I've been sharing them with you. We have trackers and lead tracking and daily success habits. And so you're overwhelmed already, and you think by adding coaching, you're going to even be busier. Well, there's a little bit of truth to that. But if that's the case, let me ask you this question. How will your life be different if you don't make the time today to do something different? You and I both know that you'll be in the same place or worse, or even a worse place a year from now if you don't find the time. No individual has any more time than anybody else. It's that we choose to spend our time on the things that matter most to us. And so we can help you prioritize. We can help you put systems in place that will save you time and take a lot of that load off and help you buy back some of your most valuable resource, your time. If time is the reason you aren't coming into coaching, I want you to think of this as your acronym, TIME. It stands for, that is my excuse, and don't let it be your excuse. The second reason people may be wondering whether or not they're a fit or if now's not the right time is because they simply don't have the money. If you simply don't have the money, I get it. Here's what I'd like you to start doing. I want you to take the daily success habits. It's going to come to you in a follow-up email, and I want you to start following it. I want you to start doing the activities that I'm challenging other agents that are in coaching to do. Do something different. Make that commitment right now. You know, I speak to agents all the time who spend thousands of dollars on lead generation. They spend tons of money on technology, fancy cars, programs that just flat don't work. Look at your business and ask yourself, are there things that I'm spending money on that aren't giving me the kind of result that Christy and Brooke and Cleve are getting? And maybe we should turn off some of those things and invest in coaching that will really make the impact in our business. Let's start changing the way we do things, and let's adjust our budget so you can find the money. You know, I talked to an agent the other day that said, I don't have the money, and I looked at their business, and I said, you know, as I look at your business, it looks like you're losing about $50,000 a month. How long do you want to continue losing $50,000 a month? The reason you don't have the money is because you're not following the system. Follow the system. The agent's lights went on, and the agent made the decision to come into coaching. And I promise you, the first thing we're going to do is lead with revenue. We're not going to give any more expenses. We're going to find those revenue buckets, and we're going to fill them quickly so that coaching never becomes an expense to you. We always want it to be a revenue-generating activity. And then last, please know that nobody could or should tell you what you should build, what kind of team you should have, or what you're capable of achieving. What holds most people back is their limiting beliefs based on the experiences they've had into life right now. I believe that we're all sons and daughters of God, and that God doesn't make mistakes. And if we're all sons and daughters of something greater than ourselves, that means that we have unlimited potential. And so I believe that you should stop having limiting beliefs and believe that you can do something. I believe that if you put your mind to it and you have a clear roadmap and you follow it, you can have success. We're surrounded by friends, family members, coworkers, spouses, kids, parents that tell us we're not worth it. We don't have value. We can't do something. Well, I'm here to say I am a living, walking proof of other people saying that you can't do something, and then stepping up and saying, tell me I can't, I'll show you I can. If you're one who has limiting beliefs, let me help you change those limiting beliefs by creating new experiences. When you do the things I ask you to do, you'll get a result that's amazing. When you get that result, it makes you want to do more. And you start believing the system. And when you start believing the system, you realize that you're not around a square peg trying to go into a round hole. You believe that you can make a difference. So you need to make some decisions. Here we are, we spent like an hour together. We've had an amazing time talking about what it means to grow your business to a 7-figure level. And you just have to decide today who you want to be. Where do you want to go? Are you okay with where you are? Because if you are, I'm great with that too. But if you're not, the question is, if you don't do this, what are you going to do instead? What's the path that you're going to take? Whatever that is, whether you use Workman Success Systems or somebody else, I want you to just go for it. And I want you to go for it with reckless abandon. I want you to get into it with all of the energy that you have in your soul, and I want you to make a difference. Let's do it together. I want you to go for it. So here's what I need you to do if you haven't done it yet. The next steps are, I want you to say, put me in, coach. Go to the button, and I want you to click the button on your screen and schedule a business consult. Schedule it. Talk to one of our business consultants who's going to take you through and help you figure out whether or not there's a fit, and they're going to give you information that will help you in your business right now. If you're ready to go, just chat it in. Put it in the chat box. Say, Verl, let's go. I'm ready. I don't even need a consult. I want to get a coach. Let's go. I am so tired of talking to people and to say, really, I want to do this. Talk me into it. You know what I say to them? I said, talk me into why you should be a client. Tell me why you believe you have more value than what your paycheck shows. Show me that you're willing to do the work that the average are not willing to do. If you want to become exceptional, you have to be willing to do things differently. And I know you have it within you to make that happen. What's going to happen after this event is you're going to get, have a series of emails, and the email is going to come to you. We're going to have a copy of the Daily Success Habits. If you decide that now's not the right time or you're not a good fit, I'm going to challenge you to use the Daily Success Habits. This is your assignment. In addition to the great ideas or things you've written down that might help you with your team, I want you to use the daily success habits and use this as the one tool that will make the biggest impact in your life. And it will make an impact immediately, not later. The next thing I want you to do as a parting gift is I'm going to have our team email this directly to you. Once you've decided we're a fit or not a fit, I want you to go in and look at the Workman Success Training Center. I'm going to send you an email with a sign up to BAM, AMP, and SLAM with a greater description on what goes on in each one of those programs. For just a couple $100, you can start on your path to doing things the Workman way. We created it because our coaches needed it, and we found value in it for people who weren't quite ready for prime time. They were almost there. They had a little bit of money, but it didn't make sense for them financially to get a coach. And so rather than making it an exclusive club, we wanted to create an environment where people who wanted it but couldn't quite afford a coach yet to be able to engage with us at a high level. And so I'm going to send you a link where you can take action right now and get involved with the training center. There's a lot of options for you folks. There's amazing content and amazing information there. There's no cost or obligation. When you give us a call and set up a consultation, all we want to do is we want to find more about you. We want to help you in your business. Now, I promised that I would open up the call to questions and answers. For those of you that have questions, I want you to go in and I want you to type them in the chat button right now. I'm going to do my best to look at your questions, and I'll answer those for you right now as we talk. Okay, so one of the first questions that comes in right now is, so how much is it, Verl? How much does it cost? Well, to come into coaching, you'll spend, most of our clients spend between $850 and $2150 a month. So I'm just going to tell you $850 to $2150 a month. Because we have a wide range of coaching levels, your coaching level will be determined during your consultation. And so we'll ask you questions, we'll have some for you, you'll have some questions for us, and then based on the interaction during your consultation, we'll determine whether or not there's a fit. And if we decide that there's a fit, then we'll discuss what the next steps are going forward. Great question. So how does coaching work? Okay, so how does coaching work? This is a great question. So first of all, our coaches are trained to lead with revenue. I think you heard me talk about that. And what that means is we look for dollar productive activities that you're currently not doing in your business or areas where you're losing income. And we always plug those holes first. It's really easy to get caught up in the systems and the processes. Those are tools to help us make more money. If you're not making more money, this isn't going to work for you. So we want to make sure that we lead with revenue. You'll get 2 calls a month with your coach, and you'll get 1 call every single week as a group call for your team members, and then you'll have 1 team leader call that's a group call with all of our team leaders that's either done by me or one of my master level coaches. So there's a lot of interaction with not just you, but your entire team, whatever level you are. All right, so Mike asked the question, what does a business analysis look like? So basically, you want to block an hour. We're going to ask you some questions prior to the business analysis, and you just put your information in there. And then we just kind of do a deep dive into your business, and we learn more about you, how many listings you have, closings, what percentages. You want to be as honest as you can with the numbers. And then we show you specifically the tools that we would apply to your business to be able to help you break through the barrier that you're at right now. And then once you say, I think I want to move forward, then we send you out a DocuSign, and you'll go through a process of being assigned a coach, and you start your coaching. It's a pretty painless process, but there is some thought that goes into it. Okay, so there's several people that are asking more about the coaching. So in talking more about the coaching, I think we talked about 2 scheduled calls every month. We tell you that there's 2 30-minute calls, but we always block an hour. You have a team leader call with Verl or one of our master level coaches. You get 4 team member role play calls, coaching calls a month, which are very, very powerful. And then you get access to our workbench, our Google Drive library, everything you can imagine. The training center license is all opened up for you and your team, and you have the ability to use that. So somebody's asking me about our credentials for our coaches. I'm going to encourage you to go to workmansuccesssystems.com, click on coaches, and you can learn more about our coaches there. We have amazing coaches. As you look at them, you'll see that they're amazing. Look at Jim Knowlton, who's my director of coaching. He's been with us since the very beginning of the company, when the company started. He hires and interviews every coach personally. Most of our coaches are former clients. So they come through the process of where we've made an impact in their life. They know our systems. They're living testimonials of the success, and now they want to give back. And so that's how they become a coach. People ask me, can I quit? People ask me, how many, can I quit? And the answer is, sure, you can quit anytime as long as you pay out your contract. If there's no accountability in the coaching, then we don't have the ability to get you to do hard things. So we do 12, 24, and 36 months agreements. I tell people it takes 2 years. So make a 2-year commitment. It doesn't matter what the contract says. I'm telling you, this is Verl talking to you, that when you sign up for coaching, make a 2-year commitment at the minimum. If you're with me 2 years, you'll be with me 5 years. Because after the first year, that's when the magic happens. That's when everything starts rolling and playing into process. Somebody did the math on that the other day, and they said, okay, how much, is it really, how much does it really cost me? So, our average client's around $13.50 a month, and so I'm going to times that by 12 months. Let me clear my calculator. $13.50 times 12 is $16,200. Now, that's a lot, and you'll spend a couple $1,000s getting onboarded. There's a very intense onboarding process, so they spend another $2,000, so they spend $18,400. So the question I want you to ask yourself right now as you're thinking about this whole process is, am I losing more than $18,000 a year by not applying the systems that Workman teaches? If you're listing houses, but you're not closing 1.5 buy-sides, my guess is you're probably losing more than $18,000 a year. If your average sell price is $300,000 and your average commission is 3%, that's $9,000. That's 3 transactions a year. If you're thinking that this is expensive, I want you to think about the question of whether or not you're losing more than 3 transactions a year. Because if you're losing 3 transactions a year, we'll plug those holes for you. I promise you. Look, the average person, let me just give you a stat. The average person knows over 200 people well. There's 200 people in your database. 10% of that database moves every year. We have a system called 8651, where we teach you how to work with 50 people 1 hour a day and close 86 transactions. If you're currently not doing 86 transactions a year out of your database alone, then you need some help. So let us plug you into the system. Talk about 3 transactions. 3 transactions, I think you're losing 3 transactions a month. So plug the hole. Jump in and let's go. It's not about the money. How soon can I start? Well, that's up to you. There's a pretty intense onboarding process, so we're going to take you through that. And so it takes usually a week or 2 to go through the onboarding process. Then you'll have a call with Jim, our director of coaching, who will assign you a coach, and then you'll get started in your coaching. We'll go as fast as you want to go. So as fast as you're excited to get going, you want to go. I love this question, and I'm going to answer it as quick as I can. The question is, hey, Verl, I have a team, but I have the wrong compensation. I have the wrong splits. I'm not profitable. Can you help me with that? And my answer is absolutely. And let me just give you some tips. First of all, buyer's agents should be on a 40-60 split for the first 2 transactions they do in a month, 45-55 for the second 2, and 50-55 plus. As a team leader, I need you to be profitable. If you start with 50-50 splits, but you have all the expenses, you're doing all the lead generation, you're the one that's making sure that you have administrative assistants in place and buying all the signs and the marketing, they're making more money than you are and you're taking all the risk. We have to build compensation that matters. And so I know, let me tell you what's going through your head. Well, well, I would never work for that. Well, guess what? I'm going to teach you how to sell that to the buyer's agents. It's not a matter of the split. Let me ask you this question. What's more important to you? The amount of money you take home to your family or the split you're on? Answer it honestly. It's how much you take home. If I put you in an environment where you're closing 3 to 5 transactions a month on a 40% split, are you making more money than you are currently at 100% doing 7 transactions a year? The answer is you make a lot more money being on one of my teams. If we went back to Christy's tracker, you'd see that Christy makes somewhere in the neighborhood, her agents average $100,000 a year of income, and they're on 40-60 splits. Most agents aren't anywhere near that. All right, 2 more questions, then we'll wrap this up. One question is, why is it some people don't have success with your program? I love that question. I have 2 agents in the same market selling to the same people with the same coach. One agent is killing it, the other agent is not. What do you think the difference is? It's not the systems, it's not the coach, and it's not the process. You have to look inward for success, not outward. The difference is you. You will make the difference. If you're willing to make the changes, if you're willing to do the activities, if you're willing to follow coaching advice and truly be coachable, Yeah, you'll make the difference. We're going to be the guide in the process, but you got to take the journey. You've got to do the work. And so I don't want you to think that this is some kind of a magic pill. The daily success habits is about as close as you can get to a magic pill. I mean, seriously, like if you do 61 points a day every single day and you get 61 points doing dollar productive activities, every 270 points you'll do a transaction. So how many times do you have to do that to get to 3 transactions in a year? Just follow the system. All right. So great questions. I'm ready for you to say, put me in, coach. I'm ready to go. Make sure you click on the button below. Get signed up for a business consultation. We'd love to talk to you. We want to help you. There's no cost or obligation. Let's have a conversation. Let's see where you are, and let's see if you can be my next Christy Buck. Christy says, by following the Workman Success Systems, I went from 250 to 2.5 million in just 3.5 years. I work less today than I did 4 years ago. That's exactly what I want for you. Whether it's $200,000 or $2 million, it doesn't matter. Let's figure out the right size business, and let's get you a coach that will help you get there. Click on the button below, and let's make that happen. This is the time. Now is the place. You are the one that has to make the decision, but you have to take action and do something. The next step is to engage. Raise your hand and say, let's go. I'm ready for my business consultation. I'm going to leave you with the following thought. My dad was a high school history teacher and an ex-Marine. I learned as a kid that there's no such thing as an ex-Marine. He used to wake us up every morning yelling reveille down the stairs, and the kids would come up, and we'd march upstairs, and we'd write in our journals, and we'd read our scriptures. My dad taught me how to make my bed so he could flip a quarter off it and catch the quarter, and if he couldn't catch the quarter, he'd tear it up and make me do it again. I remember when I wanted to play baseball, my dad made me read a book, and if I passed the book, he'd get me a mitt, and he made me read another book so I could get on a team. And I finally get on a team. I'm 11 years old, and I go to the first baseball game, and I was so excited. I was a Yankee, and I get to the game, and I show up, and I figured they must have done the batting order alphabetically. My name is Verl Workman. So I was at the very bottom of the list. Whether it was first name or last name, I was always at the bottom. And so here I am batting 15th. And they went through the first 12 batters, and I was getting ready and loose, and I was thinking I was getting ready to go. And then they started over at number 1. And I was trying to figure out what went on. I sat there the whole game, and I never went in. I went home, and I threw my mitt on the kitchen floor, and I said, Dad, I hate baseball. I quit. I'm not going back. I was embarrassed that I didn't get a play. And my ex-Marine dad raised his eyebrow, and he looked at me in the eye, and he said, I will not have a quitter as a son. Is that clear? And he poked me in the chest. It still hurts. And I said to my dad, Dad, I know, but I suck. And he says, no, you just haven't had enough practice doing the right things. And he said, let's go in the backyard, and we'll go out for 30 minutes every day after school, and I'll play catch with you. And I'll pitch balls to you, and I'll help you hit. And he made me memorize this saying, and I'll share it with you as we wrap this up today. Whatever challenges you, whatever's the hard thing, don't quit. Quitting's not in our DNA. Just make a decision to persist. And he said that what you persist in doing becomes easier to do. Not that the nature of the thing has changed, but your power to do has increased. Here's to your success and your persistence in becoming one of the greatest agents the world has ever known, and more importantly, one of the greatest parents, spouses, and leaders in your team. I thank you for spending this time with me today. I look forward to seeing you at the next Workman Success event.